Alright, imagine your sweet 80-year-old grandma walks into a grocery store and never walks out. No trace, no scream, not even a clue. Now imagine the guy behind it looks like your neighbor, who offers to mow your lawn but instead of mowing grass, he's burying bodies. This is the story of Daniel Printz, the mild-mannered handyman who turned out to be a serial killer, a twisted predator, who lured, drugged, and murdered elderly women across the Carolinas. And the craziest part? He almost got away with it. Until one yogurt cup and a bee-box blew his whole operation wide open. Yeah, strap in. This one is disturbing, dark, and 100% real. Let's unravel the creepy case of a man who literally used zip ties and lorazepam to erase lives like they were nothing. Welcome to Mystery Unveiled, True Crime. Thank you, my viewers. A special thank you to our loyal subscribers for joining us as we uncover the darkest, most gripping true crime stories every single day. Your support fuels our mission to bring you both infamous cases and chilling untold mysteries. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. You won't want to miss what's coming next. August 2021, Travelers Rest, South Carolina. It's a quiet day in a sleepy town where not much happens, until 80-year-old Edna Suttles disappears without a trace. Now, Edna wasn't your typical grandma baking cookies on the porch. She was a badass, the first female bail bondsman in South Carolina, owned her own company, a one-bail bonding, and was a grandma to 6 and great-grandma to 12. On the 27th of August, Edna leaves her house and heads to a Food Lion grocery store. She's caught on surveillance entering the store. What happens next is caught on camera, and it's chilling. Enter Daniel Printz. This silver-bearded, seemingly harmless guy is also at the store. Surveillance footage later shows him walking with Edna, helping her into her own Jeep. Then, suddenly, she disappears. Poof, gone. No calls, no texts, nothing. Her family reports her missing almost immediately. A full-scale search is launched. But the trail? It's colder than your ex's heart. Then investigators get their hands on that surveillance footage, and it gets real suspicious real fast. In the video, Printz is seen wiping down Edna's Jeep with gloves on. Red flag, right? Like, who helps an elderly lady into a car and then immediately starts wiping fingerprints? Unless you're in a crime movie, it's sketchy as hell. The feds jump in. They dig deeper into Printz. And holy shit, what they find is straight-up nightmare fuel. Printz's property, tucked away in Rutherford County, North Carolina, becomes a crime scene. Hidden inside a bee-box, yes. An actual damn bee-box are Edna's purse, her Jeep keys, and, wait for it, a yogurt container laced with a cocktail of prescription meds, cyclobenzaprine, tramadol, and lorazepam. Tranquilizer City. And right next to that yogurt, rope, zip ties, rubber gloves. They bring in cadaver dogs. One dog alerts to Edna's scent in the trunk of Printz's wife's car, the same car he was seen transferring Edna into on video. The vehicle is practically screaming, "I was used in a crime." By May 2022, nearly 10 months later, Edna's body is found dumped like trash in a remote wooded area off Harris-Holly Springs Road in Rutherfordton, North Carolina. But this was only the beginning. Because when the feds push harder, Daniel Printz, calm as ever, finally breaks. And what he confesses to next? It opens up a whole new level of horror. After the discovery of Edna Suttles' remains and the creepy evidence found in a damn bee-box, the FBI, local law enforcement, and federal prosecutors start realizing something. Daniel Printz wasn't just some random guy who panicked and killed someone by accident. Nope, this man had a system, a whole damn process. The yogurt container, the sedatives, the gloves, the rope, this wasn't his first rodeo. And you know what they say about people who hide things in bee-boxes, right? Yeah, me neither, because that's not normal. But what they found in this one, it's the stuff of nightmares. So, let's go back to what the FBI actually uncovered when they opened that box. We're talking about a twisted little time capsule. Edna's purse. Her Jeep keys. A yogurt container with drug residue. Multiple pill bottles prescribed to someone completely different. Rope? Zip ties. Rubber gloves. That's not your average backyard storage solution. That's a serial killer starter pack. Now here's where it gets more disturbing. Those pill bottles? They weren't Edna's. They were prescribed to a woman named Nancy Rigo, a 66-year-old massage therapist out of Charlotte, North Carolina, who just so happened to have vanished back in 2018. Let that timeline hit you for a second. Edna was murdered in 2021, but this guy's prescription souvenir stash goes back 3 years, and it belonged to another missing woman. What in the hell? Investigators knew this wasn't just coincidence. They start digging into Nancy Rigo's disappearance, and guess whose name pops up again? That's right, Daniel freaking Printz. And here's where things go from bad to absolutely insane. Back in 2018, Nancy Rigo disappeared without much of a trace. Friends and family were suspicious, especially when someone started sending emails, pretending to be her. Her loved ones kept getting vague messages like, "I'm just taking some time away," or "I'll be in touch soon." But when they tried to meet up or get on a phone call, radio silence. Nada. Turns out, Daniel Printz had been sending those emails, catfishing people using a dead woman's identity because, yes, spoiler alert, Nancy wasn't on a break. She was dead. And Printz was the reason why. Nancy's bank account? Still active. Social security checks? Still rolling in. Transactions? Almost daily. Who had access? Printz. He even had power of attorney over her finances. Like, what kind of monster legally inserts himself into your life just to use you like a damn ATM after you're gone? And all this time, he was still out there free, unnoticed, and acting like some handyman next door. But the FBI wasn't done. As they interrogated Printz again in October 2021, something shifted. The man got talkative. Printz, in an unexpected moment of confession, told the agents he wanted to come clean about his sins. And I swear, every time a serial killer uses the word sins, it's never followed by a parking ticket. Nah, this was about murder, and not just one, not even two. Printz confessed to 5 murders. 5. Including Edna Suttles, Nancy Rago. And then things got even more twisted. He admitted to killing Dolores Sellers, Nancy Rago's mother. This man killed a woman, then went on to kill her mother too. Dolores was 88 years old when she died in 2017. At the time, it was ruled as natural causes. I mean, she was nearly 90. But now, with this new confession, the truth was horrifying. Printz had poisoned her, gave her a lethal dose of prescription meds, and sat back while it slowly took effect. This guy was targeting elderly women, getting close to them, and then quietly eliminating them like it was part of his routine. And what's worse, he was good at hiding it. He convinced them he was a friend, or a helper, or even a caregiver. He'd insert himself into their lives until they trusted him. Then boom, game over. Lee was 61, a mom of 4, and an occupational therapist. She met Printz in 2018, and within days, she was dead. According to court documents, Lee was last seen alive shortly after spending time with him. Investigators believe she was drugged and murdered in the same sick method he used on the others. Once again, no obvious signs of foul play, no immediate red flags, just another natural death. But Printz knew what he was doing. He planned everything right down to wiping down vehicles, deleting evidence, and gaslighting entire families by impersonating the victims online. Let's not sugarcoat it. This wasn't some crazed outburst. This was a pattern. A practiced, cold, methodical hunt. The FBI was finally starting to see the full scope of his depravity. They searched his property further. Cadaver dogs hit on more locations. Investigators started reviewing cold cases and disappearances of other elderly women. It turns out Printz had a kidnapping conviction back in Michigan from years earlier, one that had somehow gone mostly unnoticed. Combine that with these new murders? The man had a violent streak stretching across decades and state lines. Sheriff Hobart Lewis put it best. He is a serial killer, a sick-minded individual. He preyed on the elderly, he preyed on females, and we're just thankful we got him. And let me tell you, they got him just in time. Because Daniel Printz was escalating. He went from poisoning to suffocating to shooting, from elderly women to daughters and mothers, and all while playing house on a quiet road in Rutherford County. A literal monster in a beekeeper's disguise. Daniel Printz steps in. The man who spent years charming elderly women, pretending to be a friend, a handyman, even a caregiver, is now shackled, expressionless, and ready to face the music. And folks, what happens next? It's part courtroom drama, part psychological horror show, and 100% gut-wrenching. Let's rewind for just a second. After fessing up to multiple murders, including the kidnapping and killing of 80-year-old Edna Suttles, Printz officially pleaded guilty. But here's the kicker. He didn't just plead guilty to Edna's murder. As part of a chilling plea agreement, he also admitted to the killings of Nancy Rago, her mother Dolores Sellers, and Lee Goodman. That's 4 confirmed victims. 4 lives destroyed. And that's just what we know about. In return for his cooperation, which included providing the locations and methods behind each murder, the government agreed not to pursue the death penalty. Instead, Printz was sentenced to life in federal prison without the possibility of parole. Now, let's be real. Life in prison might not feel like enough for a guy who basically collected corpses like trading cards. But in this case, it was less about punishment and more about making sure he never sees daylight again. Ever. During sentencing, the atmosphere in the courtroom was heavy, the kind of silence that makes your ears ring. Victims' family members filled the seats. Some cried. Some sat still, staring daggers. Some looked like they wanted to leap over the benches and tear this man apart with their bare hands, and honestly, who could blame them? Then, Printz stood up, and in a voice as dull and hollow as his soul, he said he was sorry. Yep, sorry. He apologized to the court, to the families, and to the judge. Said he asked for forgiveness, but also admitted, and I quote, "My apology cannot undo what I've done." Gee, you think? Assistant U.S. Attorney Justin Holloway stood up next, and this is where the emotional wrecking ball came in. He didn't just talk about the facts. He brought these women back to life. Not literally, but with his words. He told the court who they were, their joys, their struggles, their laughs, their legacies. Edna Suttles, 80 years old, a grandmother of 6, great-grandmother of 12, and the first female bail bondsman in South Carolina. She was tough as nails, ran her own business, and had a reputation as someone who didn't take crap from anyone. And yet, she was lured, drugged, tied up, and suffocated like her life didn't matter. It did. Nancy Rego, 66 years old, a massage therapist, full of warmth and laughter. Holloway said it best. She will be remembered mostly for her laughs, for her love, and her spirit full of life. She was trusting, too trusting, and Printz used that trust like a weapon. Dolores Sellers, 88, a woman who loved to sing and reminded everyone of Elizabeth Taylor. She raised her family in Charlotte, probably thinking her days of danger were long behind her. But even in her final years, she wasn't safe from the monster who had quietly moved into her world. Lee Goodman, 61, a mother of 4, a beach lover, and an occupational therapist who made people's lives better. She had been through a lot, but never gave up. She met Printz, and within days, her story was over. Each name came with heartbreak. Each story hit harder than the last. But Holloway didn't stop there. He painted a chilling picture of Printz's methods. The way he poisoned Dolores, the way he shot Nancy, the way he drugged and suffocated Edna, the way he pretended to be Lee's friend before ending her life too. It wasn't just murder, it was betrayal on a cosmic level. Printz's entire scheme relied on manipulation. He didn't kill with rage, he killed with patience, with calculation. He inserted himself into the lives of vulnerable women, earned their trust, and then quietly extinguished them like blowing out candles in a dark room. And remember that yogurt container? That was the smoking gun. The yogurt Printz gave Edna was laced with tramadol, cyclobenzaprine, and lorazepam, a cocktail of sedatives strong enough to knock out a horse. And where did those pills come from? Nancy Rego. Because this man was recycling his victims' medications like some twisted form of murder economics. The judge didn't hold back either. He acknowledged the devastating loss, the pain, the horror, and then hammered down the sentence. Life in prison. Printz was also ordered to pay $35,700 in restitution, which, let's be honest, is kind of like giving someone a band-aid after throwing them off a cliff. No amount of money is ever going to heal what he did, but the message was clear. This man would die behind bars. And even though that courtroom was full of grief, trauma, and fury, there was also relief. Relief that the nightmare was over. Relief that this predator would never harm anyone again. Relief that justice, while imperfect, had finally caught up to a man who spent decades hiding in plain sight. So, as Printz was led away, chains clinking with every step, the families were left to rebuild. To pick up the shattered pieces of their lives and find a way forward without the women they loved so deeply. But make no mistake, Daniel Printz left a scar. And we're not done yet. So, you're probably wondering, how does someone like Daniel Printz manage to float under the radar for years while quietly turning elderly women into victims like he's the villain in a Netflix documentary that nobody saw coming? Because what's truly terrifying isn't just what he did. It's how ordinary he looked while doing it. Now, Printz wasn't your stereotypical monster in the shadows. He didn't lurk in alleyways or wave red flags with every breath. Instead, he blended in, real-life camouflage. A master manipulator with a bland smile and a toolbox full of lies. Neighbors knew him as the quiet handyman, the polite guy who kept to himself. People said he was odd, but not threatening. A little weird, sure, but murderous? No way, right? Before Edna Suttles, before Nancy and Dolores, before Lee Goodman to the first known glimpse of what Printz was capable of, and it starts in Michigan. In 1997, Daniel Printz was convicted of kidnapping. Yes, kidnapping. A woman. He held her against her will. He had control issues, plain and simple. And when he couldn't get what he wanted, he took it. Forcefully. This wasn't some minor misunderstanding, it was a full-on felony. But after serving time, Printz emerged, vanished into the crowd, and moved to the Carolinas like a snake slithering into a fresh patch of grass. And here's where things get real uncomfortable. Instead of laying low or turning his life around, Printz got better at hiding. He started inserting himself into the lives of vulnerable women. The elderly, the isolated, the kind. He played the role of helpful friend, the guy who offered rides, fixed things, listened, pretended to care. He wasn't just conning them emotionally, he was setting up complete control. Remember Nancy Rego, the massage therapist? Yeah. After Printz killed her, he was found to have power of attorney over her bank account. And here's the sinister part. Even after she was dead, her social security checks kept coming in, and transactions kept happening. Daily. Like clockwork. But the moment Printz was arrested, everything stopped. No more deposits, no more ATM withdrawals. Almost like the puppet master had his strings yanked. So, either Nancy was banking from the afterlife, or someone was cashing in on her silence. And then there were the emails. Rego's family told investigators they received cryptic emails from someone claiming to be her long after she vanished. But every time they tried to meet up, no dice, just vague replies, excuses. Dodging. You don't need to be Sherlock Holmes to figure that one out. He was trying to maintain the illusion she was alive, while robbing her blind. Printz wasn't just a killer. He was a long-game predator. A patient sociopath. The kind who waits, watches, and moves in only when the moment is perfect. And he didn't stop at emotional manipulation. He was a collector. A creeper with a trophy shelf of death. If it weren't for a few crucial pieces like the Food Lion surveillance footage, the yogurt container, the frequent shopper card, and the cadaver dog that alerted to the smell of death in his wife's car, Printz might still be out there, smiling at his neighbors, plotting his next move. Let's not forget it was surveillance footage that first put him in Edna's orbit. She was last seen at the Food Lion in Traveler's Rest. Security cameras caught her walking with Printz. Then, later, he was seen wiping down her Jeep and transferring her motionless body into his wife's vehicle. That was the moment he screwed up. He tried to cover his tracks, but the cameras don't lie. And get this, when agents confronted him initially, he said he was a friend, a handyman. He denied everything. But eventually, under mounting pressure, he cracked. In October 2021, Printz told investigators he wanted to confess. He said he was ready to come clean about his sins and would relay everything through his attorney. That's when the dominoes really started falling. He admitted to more than just Edna. He admitted to Nancy, to Dolores, to Lee, and even hinted there might be others. And that's where the true horror lies. Because for every victim we know about, how many more could there be? How many families are still wondering where their loved one went? How many women trusted this man, only to disappear into silence? That's the terrifying truth about Daniel Printz. He wore a mask of normalcy, a disguise made of politeness, helpfulness, and trust. But underneath that, he was a calculated, cold-blooded killer, and he was hiding in plain sight. So, here's the question that chills to the bone. Why them? What was it about these women, kind, accomplished, independent, that made Daniel Printz zero in on them like some deranged predator picking from a lineup? The truth? He had a type. And no, I don't mean like a Tinder bio type. I mean a calculated, methodical preference. Older women, independent, slightly isolated, often living alone, women with assets. And most importantly, women who trusted him. A guy who looked like your average handyman had turned out to be a cold-blooded murderer with a body count that shocked the state. During the press conference that followed, Greenville County Sheriff Hobart Lewis dropped a line that echoed across every news headline. He is a serial killer. I'll make no mistake about it. He was a sick-minded individual, dangerous individual. He preyed on the elderly. He preyed on females. So we're glad we got him. And honestly, he was right. Printz didn't target the strong or the suspicious. He targeted women who were trusting, kind, vulnerable. And when he got close, he turned their trust into a death sentence. Whole communities grappling with the fact that someone they trusted was actually a monster in disguise. They were trailblazers, mothers, healers, and fighters. They left behind love. They left behind impact. And most importantly, they left behind people who will never stop telling their stories. Because Daniel Printz may have stolen their lives, but he can't erase their legacies. Alright, so here's the part that'll make your skin crawl. Daniel Printz didn't get lucky. He had a method, a system. This guy was a chameleon, a manipulator, a walking illusion. He didn't stumble into murder, he calculated it. This dude didn't roll up in a ski mask with a machete. No. He wore khakis, talked soft, offered to help fix stuff. He'd say things like, "Let me carry that for you. Want me to look at your sink? Need a ride?" He made himself useful, non-threatening, familiar, and most importantly, he got close fast. That's how he wormed his way into Edna's life. Same with Nancy. And Dolores. Probably Lay too. He didn't show up as the killer. He showed up as a friend. Once he had his foot in the door, he leveraged that trust. He helped Nancy around the house, befriended Dolores like a son, showed up with groceries, checked on them like a good neighbor. You know, stuff that makes family members say, "We're glad someone's looking after her." Except he wasn't looking after them. He was lining up his next victim. In one case, Nancy Rigo, he even got her to give him power of attorney over her bank account. He went from friendly helper to total financial control. And that was before she disappeared. Once the trust was sealed, he began to cut them off. Maybe subtly, maybe not. But Printz didn't want outsiders snooping. He controlled phone access, limited visits, answered questions. "Yeah, she's not feeling well today. She's resting, but I'll tell her you stopped by." Classic manipulation. Daniel Printz is gone, locked away for good. But his story is a warning that serial killers don't always look like monsters. That evil doesn't always wear a mask. That some of the most dangerous people out there are the ones who look just like everyone else. So stay aware, stay safe, and never ignore your gut. Because monsters like Printz, they don't come with a warning label. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe to Mystery Unveiled for more chilling true crime stories.